Hello, my dear students. Again, I'm here with you in this Kaushik Sir's wonderful presentation, Kaushik Sir's English classes. Before I start, I would like to tell you one thing that after a gap of nearly 2 to 3 weeks, I'm come here to represent myself through a wonderful masterpiece, great poet, philosopher, story writer, Rabindranath Tagore's Homecoming for class 9, obviously. Before I start, okay, I would like to again remind you, please do not forget to give like, share, and of course, subscribe my channel. It's up to you, my dear students. Any kind of problem you have, you are always welcome without any kind of hesitation to express your views, doubts in your writing. Let's start with it, okay? Rabindranath Tagore, of course, was the youngest son of Rabindranath Tagore. Before I come to the main story, we have to know the background of the author. He was educated at home, and although at 17 he was sent to England for formal education, schooling, he did not finish his studies here. The important thing is that this formal education never attracted him. Like we people go to school to get a formal education, he was never attracted it. He was very much interested in kind of a bonding with the society, the commoners, the common people. In his mature years, in addition to his many sided literary activities, he managed the family estates because he is from Jamindar Gharana, a project which brought him into close touch with common humanity and increased his interest in social reforms. He also started an experimental school at Santiniketan, very famous place. It's a university basically in West Bengal, where he tried his Upanishadic ideas of education, the formal open-air education he started. So a lot of things are there. Of course, he was awarded a knighthood, which he rejected because of the reasons of this Jallianwala Bagh incident. Then, of course, he was awarded one of the greatest present to a formal person, that is Nobel Prize. Not only did the Nobel Prize winning Tagore prioritized poetry, but also made notable contributions as short story writer, playwright, music composer, painter, and whatnot. My dear students, okay, one thing is very, very important. When you are in a depressed mood, if you have lost your track, always read short stories, poems, listen to the songs of Rabindranath Sangeet. You will get a lot of power, positive energy you will get. That is the reason Rabindranath Tagore in Bengal, in India, though we say is a Biswa Kavi, for all, not only for Bengal, not for India, for everyone. And in English, William Shakespeare, they are much more ahead in the sense that they are very much contemporary. The thing ahead of us. Let's start. There are two characters are there, very, very important two characters are the Pratik, the elder, most notorious, I should be saying, the son according to the mother, and his brother Makhan. The two brothers are not at all bonded well. He was the elder brother, that is Pratik, was never liked by his own mother. And on the other hand, his youngest brother, that is Makhan, was very much bonded with the mother. This kind of discrimination brought this conflict between the two brothers, and the whole family departed. The homecoming. Phatik Chakravarti was the ringleader among the boys of the village. They used to stay in a village. A new mischief got into his head. So he was he's a group. He had a group. He was not at all a kind of a homely person in the sense what Makhan was there. He used to stay outside, spend with his friends. A lot of activities are there, mostly mischievous activities. A new mischief got into his head. There was heavy log lying on the mud flat of the river, waiting to be shaped into a mast for a boat. In the village area, if you visit any village area, you will find, okay, rivers are there, many houses there. The house structures are a bit different in compared to the city houses. A lot of natures you will find. Then rivers, you will find, okay, the boats are there. So one person was there, he was planning to make a boat. That's the, and boat, of course, we need wood, lakdi chahiye, we need wood. That's why he has kept here the wood to be made into, to be transformed into making a boat. So what happened? A mischievous kind of a idea came in their mind to remove that one, to hide that one, to put the thing inside the water, river water. How dangerous, very bad idea. He decided that they should all work together to shift the log by main force from the place and roll it away. The owner of the log would be very angry, so in order to make him angry, they are doing these things. Angry and surprised, and they would all enjoy the fun. Everyone seconded the proposal, that is, everyone supported this mischievous plan, and it was carried anonymously. But just as the fun was about to begin, Makan, his beloved brother, I should be saying, not his beloved, but practically his mother's beloved younger son, Makan, very clever. Makan's younger brother started up and sat down on the log in front of them all. So he is also kind of a thing, he has a kind of a idea that I have to make my brother punished. That is it. He actually he always enjoys it. When he sees his brother getting beating, scolding from his mother, he enjoys. So this is a planning also. Now, my dear students, if they are playing, why he has to interfere in this matter? He has interfered in order to make a commotion, a kind of a conflict, so that he will get the beating from his elder brother Fatigue, and he will complain, go to his mother's place, in own house, and complain. And in return, mother will always, he knows that his mother always listens to Makan, and in return, Fatigue, Bechara, will get the beating. That was his plan, the design. Anyway, the boys are puzzled for a moment because he sat down on the log in front of them. He knew it that, okay, they cannot remove the log if it doesn't move. He was pushed rather timidly, but one of the boys and told to get up, but he remained quite unconcerned, unmoved. He appeared like a young philosopher, like sitting in a young philosopher, Lord Buddha, meditating on the futility of games. But he was furious. Makan, he cried, if we don't get down this minute, I'll touch you. It's a matter of prestige, because his brother is sitting on the log, and he's a ringleader. Remember, he has a matter of prestige. He's ringleader, and his friends are there. So he has to win this kind of a situation. That is, he has to remove his brother so that he will get the support from his friends. Makan only moved to a more comfortable position. He's very chalu, he's very clever. He, of course, instead of listening to his brother's words, he sat in a most comfortable position. Now, if Fatigue was to keep his regal dignity before the public, that is his friends, it was clear that he ought to carry out his threat. But his courage failed him at the crisis. His fertile brain, however, rapidly seized upon a new maneuver which would discomfort his brother and afford his followers an added amusement. Mazak is a happiness, is kind of entertainment. He gave the word of command to roll the log. Since his brother is not moving, he gave the order to his friends, come on, start move, let him fall, we don't care. Makan heard the order and made it a point of honor to stick on, because he was expecting, he wanted the thing to be done. Makan heard the order and made it a point of honor to stick on. So he overlooked the fact, like those who attempt earthly fame in other matters, that there was peril, matlab danger. Peril means danger in it. The boys began to heave at the log with all their might, calling out 1, 2, 3, like in the sports. Come on your mark, get set and go. That's it. They prepared 1, 2, 3 and go. And the word go, the log went as usual. With it went Makan's philosophy, glory, and all went down. That, of course, he was expecting, Makan was expecting. All the other boys shouted themselves hoarse and delight, but Makan was a little frightened. He knew what is going to come, because he knew He knew that his brother is going to complain his mother and he will get a thrash, that is fatigue. And sure enough, Markan rose from Mother Earth, blind at fate and screaming like the Furies. He rushed at Mark Fatigue and scratched his face, bit him, and kicked him, and then went crying home. The first act of drama was over. So, what he expected, the planning went according to Markan. Fatigue wiped his face. Now, the one thing should be pointing it out, that is, he hasn't done anything wrong, frankly speaking, in terms of his brother. Fatigue hasn't done anything wrong. He warned his brother. His friends also told him, please move. But he determined to stay on the log and, like a philosopher, meditate. But he will tell to his mother all the wrong news. He will give a wrong report that I haven't done anything, my elder brother thrashed me. That is, Fatigue beat me. And his mother, is a tragedy, will believe what her beloved younger son, that is Fatigue, says. Fatigue wiped his face and sat down on the edge of a sunken barge. Barge means barasa. Now, big ship. Not ship exactly, is a boat. On the river bank, and began to chew a piece of grass. In a riverside, you will find the city dwellers won't be getting that kind of experience. And the village, you will find rivers are there, meadows are there, you will find grasses are there. He's chewing. A boat came up to the landing and a middle-aged man with grey hair and dark moustache stepped on shore. From that big boat he came down. With grey hair and dark moustache stepped on shore. He saw the boy sitting there doing nothing and asked him where the Chakravartis lived. So he wanted to go to the house of Chakravarti. That is Fatigue's house. But Fatigue doesn't know he is related to them, his own uncle. Fatigue went on chewing the grass and said, over there. It was casually, he didn't give kind of importance. Over there, Dunia, you search it. But it was quite impossible to tell where he pointed. The stranger asked him again, please show me the way, because the first time I've come over here. Please show me the way. He careless, indifferent. He swung his leg to and fro on the side of the barge and said, go and find out, and continued to chew the grass as well. This is a characterization, funny kind of character. Because he is not getting proper education in terms of not only school education, he was not being brought up properly. His father was not there, father died. He used to stay with his brother and mother. And that mother also never supports him, beats him, scolds him, screams at him, always supports this one. So that is a very, very important point, is that he never got the love and warmth, the true bonding, what everyone expects from a mother, that he was lacking. So he was after the love, the warmth of a small boy that everyone expects. But now a servant came down from the house his mother sent. His mother sent a servant and told Fatigue his mother wanted him. Fatigue refused to move, but the servant was the master of his occasion. He took Fatigue up roughly and carried him, kicking and struggling the impotent rage. Gussa mein, but he's much more heavier. He just hold and carried. When Fatigue came into the house, his mother saw him. She called out angrily, so you have been hitting Markan again, Dusty. It's a pre-planned everything. Markan answered indignantly, no, I haven't. Who told you? Markan was wrong, Fatigue was right. No, I haven't bitten you. Frankly speaking, what you read, just now I explained you, he never even touched. His mother shouted, don't tell lies. See, this is a planning he was expecting. Markan was expecting. His planning is going on well. You say, you have. Fatigue said suddenly, I tell you I haven't. You asked Markan. But Markan thought it best to stick to his previous statement. He said, yes, mother, Fatigue did hit me. He got the way. He got a chance to get scolding, that is Fatigue getting the scolding from his mother. Fatigue's patience was already exhausted, and Fatigue never accepts lies. He becomes furious. He's a very honest person in this matter. He could not hear the injustice. He cannot bear it. He cannot stand injustice. He rushed at Markan, hammered him with blows. Take that. He beat him very badly. He cried and said, and that for you, for telling lies. He is hitting and telling, that is for you. I'm hitting for you for telling lies. His mother took Makhan's side. Obviously, always supports Makhan. In a moment and pulled Fatik away, beating him with her hands. When Fatik pushed her aside, she shouted out, "What? You little villain? Would you hit your own mother?" Another point, very, very important point. The point is that self-defense. His mother was beating like a mad lady to her elder brother, that is, son, Fatik. He was beating, and in order to protect himself from getting thrashed, from getting beating, he just pushed, and that made an issue, very huge issue, something that is unbearable. See, mother started making a story that, oh, you devil, you are beating your own mother. See, this is a problem. It was just at this critical juncture that that grey-haired stranger arrived. He asked what the matter was. Fatik looked sleepish and ashamed. Fatik has understood. Fatik has understood this man actually who has misguided the man. Remember? His own uncle, Bisambar Babu. He came. He was hiding his face. But when his mother stepped back and looked at the stranger, this is coming. His brother entering. That is her brother. That is Fatik's uncle entering. Her anger was changed to surprise. For she recognized her brother and cried, "Why, Dada?" Dada means Bengali, the elder brother. We say, "Dada, where have you come from?" As she said these words, she bowed to the ground and touched the feet. We say pranam to show respect, to honor the younger one. Go down to touch the feet. We say pranam. So she was doing the pranam to her elder brother, Bishambar Babu. Her brother had gone away soon after she had married, and he had started business in Bombay, Mumbai. His sister had lost her husband, that is Fatik's mother. Fatik and both Makhan lost their father, and she became, that is Fatik's mother, became widow. Husband, while he was in Bombay, Bisambar had now come back to Calcutta and had at once made inquiries about the sister. She was searching where my sister is. Then after inquiring, after a long gap, he searched and came to his sister's place. He had then hastened to see her as soon as he found out where she was. The next few days were full of rejoicing. The brother asked after the education of the two brothers. He was told by his sister that Fatik was a perpetual nuisance, as usual, complaining. He was lazy, disobedient, a lot of negative side. And while Makhan was as if a God-gifted son, was as good as gold, as quiet as a lamb, and very fond of reading. It's very bad indeed. That is the reason the bonding broke. Bisambar kindly offered to take Fatik off his sister's hands and educate him with his own children in Kolkata. That is Calcutta, we used to say. The widowed mother rapidly agreed. When his uncle asked Fatik if he would like to go to Calcutta with him, his joy knew no bounds, and he said, "Oh yes, uncle," in a way that made it quite clear that he meant it. This point to be noted, my dear students, as I told you earlier, that he was searching after something love and warmth. He wants a bonding. We are not animals. We do live in a society. Fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, grandfather, grandmothers. We do stay in a bonded place. The relation should be there. Well, cemented bonding we do acquire, we do require. But he was missing. He never getting this kind of bonding here. And the tragedy is that he never gets what every child wants, gets, desires, longs for, this kind of love and warmth from at least mother. Totally is different. So in such of that one, when the offer came, he thought that kind of education or the Kolkata, the exuberance, the fantasy, he was not thinking about that. He was in search of that kind of a bonding, that kind of love and warmth that he might get. It was an immense relief to the mother to get rid of Fatik. So on the other hand, if Mother Makhan goes to Kolkata, it's a great degree of relief, the peace she is going to get. How funny the mother is, isn't it? She had a prejudice, that is narrow-mindedness prejudice against the boy. So always in a wrong way of this notion, the thoughts are always negative in terms of uh, her elder son, that is Fatih. And no love was lost between the two brothers. She was in daily fear that he would either drown Makan one day in the river or break his head in a fight or run him into some danger or other. At the same time, she was somewhat distressed to see Fatik's extreme eagerness to get away. So Fatik is highly interested to go away. And on the other hand, mother is also, I told you, great degree of relief she is getting because any day kind of a very dangerous thing might take place, that is breaking the head or drowning him in the river, something. Fatigue, as soon as all was settled, kept asking his uncle every minute when they were to start to Kolkata, that is Calcutta. He was on the pins and needles all day long with excitement. So always in a kind of a excitement. Kab jao, when to go, when to go. That happens to everyone. Like for example, you students, when your elder brother or your father or mother buys tickets to Kathmandu or some other place in this holiday time, you're excited very much, isn't it? When to go, when you will catch the plane or train, that kind of things are there. He was on pins and needles all day long with excitement and lay awake most of the night, ubiquitous to Makhan in perpetuity. His fishing rod, his big kite, his marbles looked at his time of departure, his generosity, and towards Makhan and unwanted. So whatever things he had, he used to play with. Everything he gave it to his beloved brother, that is Makhan. When they reached Calcutta, that's Kolkata, Fatigue made his acquaintance with his aunt for the first time. There also this he was not been welcomed properly. See, uncle went there, uncle will stay full day out for his work and all, but he has to stay with his aunt, the ferocious lady. He never wanted this Fatigue to come again because only one income that he is to get from Bisamar Babu. And he had the own sons, and they are not at all and good natured like Bisambar Babu. The lady was notorious, and Bisambar Babu's sons are really bad. They always blamed him. See, one by one, step by step. She was no means pleased with this unnecessary addition to her family. She found her own three boys quite enough to manage without taking on anyone else. It's tough to maintain the family. Three sons, wife, and Bisambar Babu. Income, only one source. She was practical. And to bring a village lad of 14 into their midst was terribly unsettled. Bisambar should really have thought twice before committing such an indiscretion. She was not happy. This kind of decision shouldn't have been taken place, according to Bisambar Babu's wife. In this world of human affairs, there was no worse nuisance than a boy at the age of 14. He is neither ornamental nor useful. Very, very important. According to Rabindranath Tagore, these teenagers that start from 13 to 19, they are becoming, mostly they become ruthless. A lot of challenges there. They take risks. This is a common trend around the world among the teens. A lot of challenges. If the challenge has been diverted into positivity, he is very tough. He will win the race, the life's race. And mostly you will find, okay, they have been diverted into negative side in the society, in our society. So here this boy, of course, another point is he has talked about that he is very much polite. He doesn't know what to do. This kind of boys, okay, who are in teens or girls in this teen, they don't know what is right, what is wrong. They are been run by emotions. That's what happens over here. It is impossible to shower affection on him as on a little boy, and is always getting in the way. If he talks with the childish lips, he is called a baby. So if he is extra kind of a anything wants to say something, please may I help you? This kind of a tone, if he yes, okay, the concerned person to whom he is telling, you will find what happened to you. Why are you acting? You should be talking to me, decent way. So another way, if he's been, if, on the other hand, okay, if he says, okay, please, I bought a tea for you. Come on, what are you talking to me? I'm elder to you. You should talk in a polite way. So we've been a confused state. The boys and girls of this age, that is teenage, are in a confused age. They are a bit confused what to do, how to present themselves. That is a uh, very important point of the story. If he talks with a childish lips, he is called a baby, and if he answers in a grown-up way, he is called impertinent. In fact, any talk at all for him is presented. Whatever thinks too polite or a normal way, if he talks, enter world takes in a showing off. He talks in a negative way, the enter world. Then he is at the unattractive, growing age. He grows out of his clothes with indecent haste. His voice grows hoarse and breaks and quivers. His face grows suddenly angular and unnecessary. A lot of changes takes place. The hormone takes place. A lot of changes. The voice also becomes harsh, hoarse, becomes change, and becomes thin. This happens to everyone. Okay, the cheeks become sunken, and he becomes tall or she becomes tall, and the dresses also doesn't match. This kind of things is talking about. It is easy to excuse the shortcomings of early childhood, but it is hard to tolerate even unavoidable lapses in a boy of 14. Very difficult to bear. The entire world never bears adjust with the boy of 14. The lad himself becomes painfully self-conscious. So as I told you, okay, is a representation. This boy, fatigue, that happens to most boys and girls of this age, that is teenage. They don't know how to present themselves. When he talks with elderly people, he is either unduly forward or else so unduly shy when he appears ashamed of his own very existence. Confused, bewildered. Yet it is at the very age when in his heart of hearts, a young lad most craves for recognition and love. That's what's very, very important point. He has come, he's left his village, come to Calcutta in search of love and warmth, to get recognition. Everyone will recognize him. Just a pat, just a patting. He deserves, these boys and girls. The kind of they should be appraised of what the person does, teenagers. But none dare openly love him, for that would be regarded as undue indulgence and therefore bad for the boy. So, what with scolding and shielding? He becomes very much like a stray dog that has lost his master. So this is the case. See how pathetic the case is. Like a street dog, the stray dog has no fixed time for food, has no fixed place to take shelter. So that's kind of street dog. He has no identity. Now he's been confused. He's thinking and asking himself, what I've done correct by not staying in village? At least my friends were there. But here though everyone is strange. The city is something different. Huge scappers. The roads are funny. Ye gully, this lane, that lane. He gets lost sometimes. He's been confused mentally and physically. For a boy of 14, in this his own home is the only paradise. To live in a strange house with strange people is little sort of torture. But the height of bliss is to receive the kind of books of women and never to be slighted by them. It was anguish to fatigue to be the unwelcome guest. As I told you, he was unwelcome guest in his aunt's house, despised by his elderly women and slighted on every occasion. Always in every step he was to get scolding. But that was never in the village also, never we can blame him for the scolding and thrashing by his mother. We cannot blame him. And here also we cannot blame him. He's very polite. Always we should be justifying him in every step. But in spite of this justification, he has been rudely misjudged, unjustified. If she ever asked him to do anything for her, he would be so overjoyed that he would overdo it. Do something, bring a cup of tea or so. He goes, maybe his uncle, auntie says something to do it. He's very much happy. At least auntie has asked me to do something. He goes there and does something wrong. Not intentionally, but happens. He would overdo it and then she would tell him not to be so stupid but to get on with his lesson. Come on, go and start studying. A cramped atmosphere of neglect in his aunt's house oppressed fatigue. So much that he felt that he could hardly breathe. He can't able to take proper air, oxygen. Confused, bewildered. He cannot get the fresh air mentally and physically. But there was no open country to go to. The village, the sweetness of the village, the trees, the rivers, the hills, meadows, the paddy field is not missing because he was born and brought up in that kind of atmosphere. He is missing that one. Surrounded on all sides by Calcutta houses, walls, he would dream night after night his village house. I longed to be back there. He remembered the glorious meadow where he used to fly his kites all day long, Sapname. The broad river banks where he would wander about the livelong day, singing and shouting for joy. The narrow brook where he could go and dive and swim at any time he liked. Complete freedom is to enjoy. He thought of his band of boys, companions over whom he was despot, and above all the memory of that tyrant mother of his who had such a prejudice against him, always opposite, occupied him day and night. A kind of physical love like that of animals, and longing to be in the presence of the one who is loved and is expressible wistfulness during absence, and silent cry of the inmost heart for his mother, like the love of a calf in the twilight, is now craving his wants, his desire, he longs for, go back to Calcutta. Because that kind of a love and warmth he's not getting here in Kolkata. His love, which he was almost an animal instinct, agitated the shy, nervous, lean, uncouth and ugly boy. He becomes very wild in the sense mentally wild, eager to go back. Now after some time we'll find he's asking his uncle to when shall I go back? When shall I go back to my paradise, my village? No one could understand it, but it preyed upon his mind continually. These kind of things are going on continuously. So you find over here that there was no more backward boy in the whole school than fatigue. He gasped and remained silent when the teacher asked him a question, and like an overladen as patiently suffered all the blows that came down on his back. Whatever questions have been asked to him, because he cannot able to pay attention. If you can't able to pay attention to your studies, you can't able to read. Not even mugging, not even doing any kind of homework or classwork. Because his entire world, the dream, is in his village. He's thinking about eagerly waiting to go back to his village. That is life. Is zindagi. He wants to go back. He's not getting any kind of things in this city. For example, I'm talking about animals like lions and all, okay? They're very happy in their forest. We cannot. They are not happy in the zoo that we have been kept in the cages. They're not happy. The same thing is happening over here. He is from the village. He should have stepped. He should have been kept over there. He should have stayed over there. But because of his mother, since he's not getting any kind of love and warmth, the bonding, in search of that, in village he's not getting, in search of that, if he might get, possibility was there. That's the reason he left his village, full gang of his friends and mother and brother, that wonderful atmosphere, and went there to the city in search of that. He might, if he thinks that he might get, but he never got that. Now he has to come back. He's planning to go back to his village. He cannot stay even a single second. When the other boys were out at play, he stood wistfully by the window and gazed at the roofs of the distant houses. And if by chance he espied children playing on the open terrace of any roof, his heart would ache with longing. See, he is, as I told you, he is not at all an introvert kind of character. In the village, he used to play always outside. But here, the opposite thing happens. He can't able to mix with the city boys. He can't able to mix with them. He can't able to play with them. As I told you, because of this nature, he can't able to cope There's a reason he used to get thrashing and beating by the teacher because he couldn't complete his work. Same thing here also. He's not getting his own world. One day he summoned up all his courage and asked someone of his means is called. He gathered all his courage, summoned up all his courage and asked his uncle, Uncle, when can I go? When can I go home? His uncle answered, Wait till the holiday comes. But the holiday would not come till November. Long gap is there. And there was a long time still he had to wait. He cannot wait. He has to leave now. One day Fatigue lost his lesson book. Even with the help of his of books, he had found it very difficult indeed to prepare his lesson. Now it was impossible. He is not getting his book. Teachers are giving homework, classwork. He can't able to do it. Even his brothers, three brothers, most notorious, they never help him. His cousins never helped him. They want also, like his own brother Makhan, they want him to get beating, thrashing, scolding. Day after day, the teacher would cane him unmercifully. That time in those days, okay, people used to get caning. Now, of course, not possible. His condition became so abjectly miserable that even his cousins were ashamed to his own. They are feeling ashamed to give his that they are our cousins. This is from our own related person. They feel ashamed. He's a villager. They began to cheer and insult him more than the other boys. Their own cousin brothers, like an outsiders, they used to scold him, insult him in front of all. He went to his aunt at last and told her that he had lost his book. What to do? His aunt pursued her lips in contempt and said, You great clumsy country lord. This is an insult. Villager. How can I afford with all my family to buy you new books 5 times a month? I cannot afford. I cannot do it. That night on his way back from his school, Fatigue had a bad headache. The new phase starts in the story with a fit of shivering. He was shivering, he was feeling uneasy physically, of course, emotionally. He felt he was going to have an attack of malarial fever. His one great fear was that he would be a nuisance to his aunt. Now he's feeling that also. If I become sick, I would be bedridden. Then again, his aunt, his brothers will be very unhappy with him. Already they are very unhappy. They're not happy with him. And now he has become sick and all, the medicine cost, the doctor's cost, then staying here without any studying, without any work, they will be much more nuisance. Very bad they will be. He's thinking of that also. The next morning, Fatigue was nowhere to be seen. He fled away. All searches in the neighborhood proved futile, means of no use. Futile means of no use. They couldn't get him in the search. The rain had been pouring to torrents all night. Cats and dogs. Huge, heavy rain, cats and dogs. And those who went out in search of the boy got drenched, मतलब भींच गया, fully wet through the skin. At last, December asked help from the police. Ultimately, they went to the police and registered a case of lost. You have to search it. At the end of the day, a police van stopped at the door before the house. It was still raining and the streets were all flooded. Two constables brought out Fatigue in their arms and placed him before December. They brought Fatigue. He was wet through from head to foot, muddy all over. His face and eyes flushed red with fever. Means he was running high temperature, fully wet. No one there to look after him. Muddy all over, his face and eyes flushed red with fever, and his limbs all trembling. December carried him in his arms and took him into the inner apartment. When his wife saw him, she exclaimed, What a heap of trouble! See the notorious lady. He is helpless. He is unconscious, the Fatigue, the village boy. And above all, she is saying all this thing. If of trouble this boy has given us, hadn't you better send him home now? Send him out. See the mentality, the mind frame of this lady. Fatigue heard her words and sobbed out, "Loved uncle, I was just going home, but they dragged me out back again." It's the tragedy that brings the tears of your eyes. Bichara, he wants to go back. He knows he's not welcome over here. So in order to not to give any kind of disturbance, not to disturb them, he started moving. He doesn't know any place to go to. The only place he knows is village. And now the point is that he doesn't know the way also. Train, he started walking. Fatigue, the fever rose very high, and all that night the boy was delirious. Means not in a conscious mood, unconscious. December brought in a doctor. Fatih opened his eyes, flushed with fever, and looked up to the ceiling and said vacantly, "Uncle, have the holidays come yet? May I go home?" That's the important point, my dear students. This holiday is not a holiday, summer vacation, or puja vacation, or winter vacation. The permanent holiday, that is death. Everyone, every living beings, including the trees and insects, we human beings also, we come on this world for some time, for a few years, maybe 80 years, 60 years, 100 years, then we leave our place. Highly philosophical. That is talking about Rabindranath Tagore through this. The protagonist, Fatigue, is talking about he is tired of this life. Torture, 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 mental torture. He wants to get relief. He wants holiday. Freedom. No kind of torture from this kind of mother, from this auntie, from the cousins, from his own brother. This entire world become bitter, unbearable, intolerable. That's the reason he wants a relief. December wiped his tears. December also, uncle tried weeping from his eyes and took Fatigue's lean and burning hands in his own and sat by him through his ride. The boy began again to mutter. At last, his voice became excited. "Mother," he cried, "don't beat me like that, mother. I am telling the truth." He's not in conscious mood. He's thinking about the past, how his mother used to torture him. "Mother, I'm not responsible. My brother is responsible. He's telling lies. Please listen and judge and just do the justification to this issue. I haven't done anything." He's thinking. He's in a world of kalpana. He's in a world of dream. He's no more conscious. Lost everything. The next day, Fatigue became conscious for a short time. He turned his eyes about the room as if expecting someone to come. At last, with an air of disappointment, his head sank back on the pillow. He turned his face to the wall with a deep sigh. He's expecting his mother. Ultimately, mother could be bad, but he's expecting the mother for the last time to see his mother's face, the eyes. December knew his thought, and bending down his head, whispered, "Fatigue, I've sent for your mother." He could sense the positive person, the best person. The day went by. The doctor said in a troubled voice that the boy's condition is very critical, becoming bad to worst to worst. Fatigue began to cry out. By the mark, he is now thinking about the village, the beauty, the rivers, the boats, the boatmen, how they're sailing the boats. He's dreaming. He's looking, but his eyes in a dreamy, in some dream, going back. He already has gone there, not physically, emotionally, mentally. He had heard the sailor on the river steamer calling out the mark on the plumb line. Now he was himself plumping an unfathomable sea as if he's sailing. Later in the day, Fatigue's mother burst into the room like a real fool and began to toss from side to side and moan and cry in a loud voice. Now she has understood. She's repenting what she has done. I should be blaming her. It is because of her only this thing happened. She shouldn't have done this kind of discrimination, separation in terms of judgment between two brothers. December tried to calm her agitation, but she flung herself on the bed and cried, "Fatigue, my darling, my darling." It's too late, my dear students. It's too late. Now he's already on the way to the permanent world of freedom, the real permanent holiday. Fatigue stopped his restless movement for a moment. His hands ceased, matlab stopped. Beating up and down, he said, "Ah?" looking at the mother. The mother cried again, Fatigue, my darling. Fatigue very slowly turned his head and without saying anybody said, Mother, the holidays have come. Fantastic, wonderful story. It's one of the best, I'm saying, short stories in this Rabindranath Tagore's short story, Homecoming. When I was a student of ICC that time, it was the name was I remember Holiday. We also had the same syllabus. The holiday was a story. My two students, any kind of problem we have, and please once again go for the plot. The theme is very very important, and how appropriate the title is. We should not forget it. Uh, the setting, the characterization, fatigue, his mother, December, and Makan go through. So, my dear students, thank you very much once again for viewing my video. Any kind of problem, any kind of doubt, you should always, without any kind of hesitation, come up. Thank you very much. And again, I remind you, please do not forget to give like, share my video, and once again, do not forget to subscribe my channel. Thank you very much. May well God bless you all. Very soon I will come again with you with another masterpiece.